What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special. And CNBC was on TV yesterday declaring the housing boom is over. Is it, though? Is it really? Thank you for joining me. I'm Jack Gamble, and I'm Nobody Special. And lately, it seems no matter who you ask, people will say we're in a housing bubble. Well, the thing about housing bubbles is they don't always announce themselves. And one of the ways to tell that you're not in a housing bubble is when everybody says we're in a housing bubble. Because bubbles tend to have an element of denial to them, and that's what keeps them sustained. And I don't see that right now. I saw a video last night from a channel called Onsite Trav that I recently discovered. It's an excellent channel. I'll post a link to the video in the description down below. I highly suggest you check it out and subscribe to his channel. But Onsite Trav was reacting to a video from Economic Ninja, and he was sharing some of the information that he's been seeing on the ground in the real estate market, where the bidding wars are still going on. I mean, houses are selling within days of being listed for several percent above ask price. Onsite Trav is basically saying he doesn't see it. He doesn't see a housing bubble. What he sees is the reduction in home sales has to do with supply, not with demand. And I'm inclined to agree with him. And then I saw this video from CNBC talking about how new home sales for the month of June were only up 6% versus 18% in May. Now, that's a pretty powerful data point. But the more I looked into this video that CNBC was doing, the more I realized the market is not telling us what you think it's telling us. I don't think we're really in a bubble, or at the very least, if we are in a bubble, it's going to inflate further before it pops. So I decided I'd go through that video today and give you my reaction. All right, without any further ado, let's get into the video. Shep.
Could the housing boom actually be over? Here's some data. New Census Bureau shows new home sales dropped last month to the lowest level since the pandemic started.
All right off the bat, I want to draw some attention to we're talking about new home sales here. This is not existing home sales. Now, new home sales is not the majority of the housing market. So this is a small segment of the housing market, a very important one. But I want to make that distinction here. We're talking about new construction. Now, one thing with new construction we have to keep in mind is new construction is particularly affected by these material shortages, by the spike in lumber prices. Now, I know what you're saying. Lumber has crashed recently, and that's true, but these are homes that were sold last month, which means they're homes that were built in the months prior. So these are all homes that were built during very high lumber prices. So there's going to be a delay in the data as far as how the lumber prices affects new home construction. So this information here is totally unaffected by the crash in lumber prices recently. That's important.
The drop comes after a frenzied buying spree during COVID. CNBC's Diana Olick now to explain what's driving all of it.
I got to draw a point here before she starts talking. Look down at the bottom there. Housing boom ends as new home sales fall to pandemic low. That's kind of elite. Now, I'm not saying the housing boom is going to keep going indefinitely or that, there is no housing bubble. But one data point declaring the housing boom over, I don't know. It seems like they were very eager to declare this housing boom over. That's just me. I don't really see it, to be honest with you. I understand that the price of homes is unsustainable, or at least the trend in the price of homes is unsustainable. But I'm going to stop short of saying the housing boom is over, because I don't see what I saw in 2008, row after row of new homes that are built and unoccupied. I don't see it. I still see a shortage of supply, but that's just me.
Well, this, Diana?
Shep, the problem is the price. Affordability has been crushed after a year-long run on housing that hit both the new and existing home markets.
Okay, pausing again. I want to draw a distinction between price and affordability. Now, she is right that price has boomed astronomically. But while pricing has gone up, affordability has been relatively unchanged. Because remember, the Fed is pumping at least $40 billion a month into the housing market in the form of mortgage-backed securities. That's having the effect, along with their purchase of U.S. Treasuries, of keeping interest rates suppressed. So as long as these interest rates stay low, then the affordability of the homes remains high, even though the price of the home is going up, because it's all about those monthly payments. Can people make the monthly payments required to support these home prices? Right now, that answer is definitely yes, they can. Now, back in 2007, 2008, that was not the case. We had a lot of these adjustable rate mortgages were put out there to lure in people with bad credit with the illusion of affordability. And then we had Ben Bernanke, who was jacking up rates over and over and over again, so that when those teaser rates on the adjustable rate mortgages expired, all of a sudden all these people who thought they could afford a home now couldn't make the monthly payments. That's not happening this time around. At least I don't see it. I don't see marketing adjustable rate mortgages to unsuspecting buyers with no credit scores or with no jobs and no assets. I don't see that happening this time around. So while the prices are going up very fast, affordability is relatively unchanged because these interest rates are staying low, which means people can make the payments. That's important.
That report out this morning from the census showed sales of newly built homes dropped unexpectedly to the lowest level since April of last year. And May's sales were also revised lower. The supply of new homes that are ready to move into is half of what it was just a year ago.
That's an important data point that she just mentioned, that the supply of new homes ready to move into is half of what they were a year ago. Well, I think we just got the answer to this question. The issue isn't that there aren't enough buyers out there. The issue is there's not enough supply. I mean, she just said it. The supply of new homes that are ready to move into is one half of what it was last year. So if the supply is cut in half and the demand is the same, the prices go up, but you're also going to see fewer sales. And we're seeing that. We're still seeing these bidding wars, and we're still seeing houses selling only a few days after being put on the market. So rather than declaring the housing boom at an end, it seems more like we've got a supply crunch going on. And with a supply crunch going on, that tells me this trend might be continuing. That's just me.
The builders basically stopped working when COVID hit and didn't expect the sudden new demand from buyers looking for more space, both indoor and outdoor. Consumers needed to work, school, play, and exercise at home, and suddenly builders were scrambling to get on their feet again. But supplies were delayed, labor was scarce, and take a look, the price of lumber jumped over 300%. Now, lumber prices have pulled back recently, but they're still much higher than pre-COVID. And now fires in the West and Canada are putting upward pressure on those prices again.
So she spent a little bit of time talking about lumber here. Now, little credit to Economic Ninja for calling that the lumber price was going to crash. I mean, he really nailed that one. I'm going to go out on a limb right here, and I am going to say this sell-off in lumber is way too hard, way too fast. I think these prices are going to correct back upward. Maybe they don't get up as high as they were, but just as the speculators took the price way too high, I think now the shorts have beaten this down way too low. And the trend of people still needing bigger houses. You know, she was just saying that people are working from home, they're playing from home, they're exercising from home. Everybody's doing everything at home. The effect of that trend is it's driving people out of apartments and condos and townhouses and into these ranches and McMansions and large high-end homes. So the average home size in this country is going to start increasing if it hasn't already. Now, that's a trend that'll play out over years, but you're going to see that in lumber prices. On top of that, you've got the underlying story of inflation, which I don't think is going anywhere anytime soon. So I don't think we've heard the last of this lumber issue.
It all drove home prices much higher, up 6% in June year over year for newly built homes, which, believe it or not, is a little bit of a relief. In May, they were up 18% from a year ago.
All right, so that's a pretty stark contrast, right? Going from up 18% to up 6%. That is a big reduction in increase or in the rate of increase. But block out that 18% number for a second. You're still looking at a 6% annual increase in home price versus a year ago. That is not a housing bust or a housing collapse kind of number. Now, when viewed through the lens of that 18% number in May, okay, yeah, that's a big drop, or at least that's a much smaller increase. But again, we're not talking about prices going down here. We're talking about the rate of price increases slowing. So that data point doesn't make a trend. So I'm going to stop short of saying this is a housing bust. I really don't see it.
Builders have been so strained that even the chairman of the nation's largest builder, D.R. Horton, said in a company release last week, "We have slowed our sales pace to more closely align to our current production levels while building out the infrastructure needed to support a higher level of home starts."
All right. Now, this quote right here, this quote is very big. We slowed our home sales pace to more closely align to our current production levels. So, again, this is more supply side. This doesn't mention anything about the demand for homes. This doesn't mention anything about buyers are having trouble getting financing or that banks aren't lending. This is telling me supply is being restricted. Reading on, while building out the infrastructure needed to support a higher level of home starts. So they're saying right here, we don't have as many new homes to sell, but we're trying to ramp up production to sell more. Again, this is not the kind of quote that an executive looking at a housing crash would say. This is an executive who thinks this housing price trend is sustainable. So again, I don't see a lack of demand here. I don't see a lack of buyers. I see a lack of supply driving this reduction in new home sales. That tells me we are not at the end of this real estate cycle.
The number of homes for sale now that haven't even been built yet is at the highest on record, Shep.
Again, look at that. The number of homes that are for sale that haven't even been built yet is at the highest it's ever been. Again, this is not a lack of demand. This is not a problem of buyers. This is a problem of supply. And I think when we get the data on existing home sales, I think it's going to paint a very different picture than this new home sales information.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching.
So there you have it. That's my reaction to CNBC's take on the supposed end of the housing boom. I really don't see it. To be honest with you, I see constrained supply. I don't see a lack of demand. And that tells me that this cycle in housing is going to continue. And the biggest thing that we need to watch is that Fed pumping the $40 billion a month into mortgage-backed securities and $80 billion a month at least into U.S. Treasuries. It's those interest rates. As long as those interest rates stay suppressed, then the houses will be affordable. Emphasis on affordable. The prices will continue to rise as long as the affordability stays where it is. That's just my take. Again, I'm not an expert. I just call them like I see them. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. It would really help me out a lot. Until next time, live small, dream big.